"What the fuck are you doing with my girl?" he sneered. I just looked at her, the woman I loved, and walked away in silence. Months later my phone rang. "He cheated on me," she sobbed. "He was abusive. Please. I made a mistake." The shock on her face was priceless when I finally responded. It's crazy how much can change in a few years. Back at the end of 2018, I was honestly kind of a mess. I was in college, but my routine was basically classes, too much takeout, and not enough sleep. The guy in the mirror was getting puffy, and I just felt unhealthy. So, I decided to do something about it. I got a couple of buddies to join a gym with me right next to campus. It was the popular spot for students. Predictably, they lasted about 2 lazy weeks before quitting. But I stuck with it. I started going for an hour or two after class every day. And man, it felt good. But that wasn't the only good thing. Every single time I left the gym, drenched in sweat and feeling exhausted, there she was, standing outside, waiting for a friend or a ride, I guess. And she always looked incredible. It became this silent, daily thing. We'd make eye contact a lot. Just that quick. Held for a second too long kind of look. That was it for weeks. Until one day, the universe finally threw me a bone. I walked in, and there she was, at the check-in desk, signing up for a membership. From there, things just happened. It's easy to start a conversation when you're both waiting for the squat rack. We learned we had some of the same classes. Sometimes we were the only 2 people left in the weight section late at night. We started leaving at the same time, and those walks turned into grabbing a coffee or a soda. It went on like that for about 3 months. And before I really knew it, we were falling for each other. We dated for a year. And man, it was the real deal. I was seeing huge changes in myself from the gym, feeling confident for the first time in a long time. And I had this perfect woman by my side who actually liked me. We had the same dorky sense of humor, liked the same shows, and spent countless nights secretly hooking up at her place. I was totally convinced I was going to marry her. Then, about a month ago, it was like a switch flipped. She went cold. Texts that used to get instant replies now took hours, if they got one at all. Her usual "see you at the gym" messages just stopped. I tried asking her what was up, but she just gave me a vague "nothing's wrong" and dodged the question. My mind was racing. What did I do? Then, after a day of near total silence, she called me. She told me we needed some time apart. My first instinct was to fight it, to demand a real reason. What does time apart even mean? Did I do something wrong? Is there someone else? But the fear was stronger. The fear that if I pushed too hard, she'd just end it right there on the phone. So, I did the only thing I felt I could do to save us. I backed off. I told her I understood, hoping it was just a temporary phase we could get through. The week that followed was absolute misery. Then, just as suddenly as it started, the break was over. She came back, and she was more affectionate than ever. Constant texts, always wanting to see me, holding my hand everywhere we went. To make up for the rough patch, I went all in. I treated her to dinner more. I skipped a couple of my non-essential classes just to hang out with her between her lessons. And I did everything I could to make her happy. Things felt like they were back on track. Even better than before. But there's this weird feeling in my gut that I can't shake. So, Reddit. I guess my question is this. Has anyone else gone through something like this? A partner who goes completely cold for a week and then comes back acting like a super girlfriend. I want to believe everything's okay. But I can't help but feel like I'm ignoring a massive red flag. Am I just being paranoid? That feeling of relief from her being back to normal lasted for about a month. During that time, she got a new part-time job at a coffee shop near campus to make some extra cash. No big deal. I was proud of her. I fell into a new routine. I'd finish my workout, and then I'd walk over to her work to pick her up when her shift ended. At first, it was great. But then, I started to notice a change. She'd see me waiting outside, and her smile wouldn't quite reach her eyes. She started saying things like, "You know, you don't have to do this every time." Her tone wasn't mean. Exactly. But it was tired. Annoyed. My first thought wasn't that something was wrong with us. My thought was, okay, maybe she's just exhausted from her shift. Maybe she needs that walk home to decompress by herself. I decided the best thing to do was to give her that space. So, for about a week, I stopped picking her up. It just text her, "Have a good shift," and head straight home from the gym. Then came the night that put the first real crack in everything. It stayed at the gym way longer than usual. Pushing myself hard. I was walking home when I checked the time. My internal clock went off. She was getting off work in about 5 minutes. I was only a block away from the coffee shop. I figured, what the hell? I'll surprise her. As I rounded the corner, I saw her walking away from the shop. But she wasn't alone. She was with some dude. And she was laughing. Not just a polite laugh, but that deep, head thrown back kind of laugh she used to only do with me. My brain just stopped. I froze right there on the sidewalk. Who is that guy? A coworker. It has to be. They were so caught up in their conversation they didn't even see me. I just stood there, completely confused, until they were long gone. I went home and called her. No answer. I called again. Nothing. A few hours later, she finally called back. I tried to sound casual, but my voice was tight. "Hey, I was walking by your work earlier and saw you with someone." Her response was immediate and sharp. "Oh, that was just Mark from work. He's just a friend. Don't be weird about it." The way she said it made me feel like I was the one in the wrong. Like I was some jealous, paranoid psycho. So I backed down immediately. "Oh, okay. Sorry. I was just curious." I hung up feeling guilty. Like I'd overreacted and shown a lack of trust. But that weird gut feeling was screaming at me. The next day, it got worse. I didn't see her at all. Not in class. Not at the gym. I finished my workout early and was walking home when I saw her standing outside a small electronics shop. I smiled, relieved, and started walking over to say hi. The second she saw me, her face went white with panic. "What are you doing here?" she whispered, practically begging me to leave. "Please, just go. I'll explain later. I promise." I was so baffled I couldn't even form a sentence. Before I could go, the door to the shop opened. The dude from the night before, Mark, walked out. He looked at me, then at her panicked face, and then back at me with a sneer. "What the fuck are you doing with my girl?" The world went silent. Every sound on the street just faded away. My heart didn't just drop. It felt like it vaporized in my chest. In that 1 second, everything clicked into place: the cold week, the break, the annoyance, the laughing. I wasn't paranoid. I was being played. For some reason, I didn't break. All the pain instantly turned into a cold, hard clarity. I didn't even look at him. I looked straight into her eyes and said, with a voice I didn't recognize as my own, "It's over between us." The guy looked completely dumbfounded. Then his confusion morphed into anger, directed at her. I didn't stick around to watch. I just turned and walked away. My legs were shaking so badly I was surprised I didn't fall. I got on the first bus I saw, went home, and completely fell apart. I cried the whole night. My phone started buzzing almost immediately. Message after message. Call after call. I just turned it face down on the bed and let it buzz. So now here I am. It's the next day. I haven't slept. My phone has 100 missed calls and probably twice as many texts from her. I haven't looked at a single one. Part of me wants to read them, to hear the excuses. The other part of me just wants to throw the phone against the wall. What do I even do now? Reddit. Do I listen to what she has to say? Or do I just block her and try to disappear? I didn't go to college for a couple of days. I just sat on my bed in a daze. The constant buzzing of my phone was the only sound in the room. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I picked it up. Over 200 unread texts. Dozens of missed calls. I opened the message thread. It was exactly what I expected. A wall of text saying she'd made a terrible mistake. That she only ever loved me. Begging me to forgive her. Promising we could work through this. It was a fire hose of panic and regret. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I could have written a novel about how much she hurt me. How she humiliated me. But what was the point? The trust was a shattered plate on the floor. No amount of glue could fix it. I scrolled past hundreds of her messages. Found the bottom. And typed out one single reply. "You broke my trust. It's never happening." Before she could even respond, I blocked her number. Going back to campus was brutal. I tried my best to avoid the paths I knew she took. But eventually, It happened. I saw her. And she was with him. They were walking together. Holding hands. Seeing that felt like getting punched in the gut. But I refused to give her the satisfaction of seeing me hurt. I just looked straight ahead. Kept my expression blank. And walked past them. The fact she moved on so faster rather. Had already moved on before we were even over, was the part that stung the most. It made our whole year together feel like a lie. Like I was just a placeholder. Thankfully, she never came back to the gym. That place became my sanctuary. All the anger, the confusion, the pain, I poured it all into my workouts. I started training more seriously than ever before. It became my coping mechanism. The physical exhaustion was the only thing that could quiet the noise in my head. And it worked. I was getting stronger. Not just physically, but mentally. I even cleaned up my diet. Without her around for late-night junk food runs, I was eating healthier than ever. As weeks turned into a month, I started to feel like myself again. I began chatting with some of the other regulars at the gym, including this one girl I'd noticed a few times. Apparently, she had a crush on me. Her friends, who also worked out there, kept egging me on. Just ask her out. Dude, they'd say. For a while, I still had that weird, lingering feeling of guilt, like I'd be cheating on my ex, which was insane. I finally shook it off. The next week, I saw her by the water fountain, took a deep breath, and just did it. She blushed so hard I thought she was going to pass out. But she accepted. We went on a couple of dates, and she was incredible, genuinely kind, funny, and without any of the drama. She's even more perfect than I ever thought my ex was. We started dating, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I was honestly, truly happy. It's a cute dynamic. She thinks she's lucky to have me, that I'm too good looking for her. But honestly, I feel like she's way out of my league. Then COVID hit. College closed. The gym shut down. And everything went into lockdown. I couldn't see my new girlfriend as often, though we made a point to go for long, socially distanced walks every week. Life settled into a new, quiet normal. Until 2 months later, when my phone rang. It was a random number. I answered. And a familiar, crying voice came through the speaker. It was my ex. She was a complete wreck. Just sobbing and venting. She told me the guy, Mark, had been cheating on her with her own best friend. That he was controlling and abusive. She went on and on about how breaking up with me was the worst mistake of her life. How no one ever treated her as well as I did. And then came the words I knew were coming. Can we please just try again? A small, stupid part of my heart felt a flicker of pity. I still had love for the girl she used to be. Or the girl I thought she was. But it was buried under too much betrayal and pain. I knew going back was impossible. So I just told her, I'm sorry you went through that. And you need to leave him. But it's not happening with us. She pleaded with me to at least talk to her occasionally. I hope she gets away from that guy. Because nobody deserves that. But I can't be her emotional support. I told her I had to go. And then I blocked that number, too. So Reddit. That's where I am. I feel like I did the right thing. But there's a part of me that feels a little guilty for shutting her out so completely when she's in a bad place. Am I being too harsh? Or is cutting all contact for good the only real way to protect the new life I've built?